Welcome to At the Intersection of Mystical and Mundane. I am your host, Lydia Lazara, founder of Questions Authority Coaching, and I am so pleased to bring you today a discussion on the last episode called True Reality. Today's episode will have some spoiler alerts, so if you have not listened to episode 6 yet, you are welcome to pause this episode and go back to the previous one. It might make it a little easier to follow the conversation. So, the story, True Reality, that you heard in episode 6, it came out of automatic writing. If you've never heard of automatic writing, Michael Sandler of Inspire Nation wrote a book on it and has a course out and talks about it a lot as being something that completely changed his life and is something that he practices and does every single day. And automatic writing is essentially a way to connect inward deeply with your soul, your own inner wisdom, your guides, spirit, God. It's kind of up to you as to who you ask for support and help. And as you write, you get yourself into a theta brainwave state where you're kind of half awake, half asleep. So you're conscious, but kind of almost on the edge of dreamlike state. And you ask your questions, and then your writing channels those answers. And the episode, True Reality, I was feeling stuck. I had no idea what to bring forward. I hadn't had something come through that was inspired. So I sat down a few days before the episode released with the automatic writing, and I asked my guides, what do I talk about? Is there a story or a discussion that I need to bring? And when the words started flowing, they flowed right into that story. It took more than once to finish the story. I think I got to the chorus and the oyster with the crystal before I kind of ran out of steam the first time around. And then when I came back a couple days later, the rest of the story came through. And the reason why I share this experience for that story is simply because of how powerful that story felt to me as I was writing it, as I was reading it and editing it. And even now, I just re-listened to it before coming on to record this episode, this discussion. And I think giving credit to not just myself, but automatic writing and my guides for bringing that story through is really important. I'm not alone in what I am doing or how I'm putting out these episodes, what I'm determining, even how I work with clients or bring forth my daily readings on social media or my weekly readings if you're in my email list, or even what I bring through in my online community embodied. I don't do this alone. And truly, no one does life alone. There's just so many of us who don't realize the help and the support and the guidance that is there that is helping us make choices. I want to help bring more awareness, more consciousness into your own personal life, your own daily life, for how guidance shows up, how your intuition is helping you make choices that keep you safe, help you avoid disaster, or help you find abundance and ease. And maybe also you notice, like I have noticed in the past, where when you've had that gut feeling and you decided to ignore it, you end up wishing that you hadn't. So just know, as we start out with this discussion, that I am not alone in this discussion. You are not alone in listening to this discussion. There is so much more to our world than we've been led to believe. And the story from episode 6, True Reality, helps bring so much of that to light. We start out the story finding ourselves walking through a forest barefoot, and it's completely silent except for the noise that we make as we walk on the forest floor. We don't hear any of the typical forest sounds, leaves rustling in the wind, animals in the underbrush, birds chirping their songs. It's almost eerily silent. And then we just suddenly have this wolf appear by our side, and yet we feel no fear. You like kind of have this tingling from where your mind would normally be freaking out about a wolf joining you. Are you in danger? What's going on? How did this happen? How did you not notice the wolf before? Like all of those reactions that would be normal in the reality that we live in, which I'm just going to go ahead and call it false reality for this discussion. So you're in complete silence. It's weird, right? You notice it, but you keep going. The wolf shows up and you're like, oh yeah, totally normal. This totally makes sense. The wolf is like, right there, I'm just going to be friends with you. We're totally cool. And it isn't until you see the eagle when you come out onto that promontory and are overlooking the world that the first sound that isn't from you is made, and it's the wolf calling a greeting and the eagle responding. And there's something about this call and response that awakens your power, awakens your senses, and all of a sudden you notice all the sounds around you. You notice all the creatures around you. You start to notice that connection to this infinite network of support. Again, we're coming back to that we're not doing this alone. That starting out in silence is very much a when we believe that we are disconnected and we believe we are alone, we are essentially cutting off our senses that tell us we are connected. We are choosing to believe that false reality that we are an individual with no connection to anyone else or anything else. Once you, in that story, realize that connection and you open up all of your senses to that connection and you close your eyes, when you reopen those eyes, you're in a completely different place. Obviously, all of this so far has felt very dreamlike, right? It's like there's no way this can be real. There's no way that this could happen in a waking state. And the absence of the mind's constant chatter and questioning and naysaying and fear mongering seems to just confirm that this has to be a dream, right? Because in the dream, everything makes sense. You don't question it, it just happens. You're cool with it. And yes, there are some dreams where you do still definitely feel fear or apprehension or something like that. But a lot of times, what happens in a dreamlike state or in a dream is something that if you remember it when you wake up, you can't necessarily piece it all together, or you're remembering things and you're realizing that it feels very choppy. Like, how did you get to this place? How did you get to the beach from the forest when you were standing up on this mountain ridge? How are you, okay with a wolf just showing up out of nowhere? All of these things lead you to believe that this is very much a dream. And when you come onto that beach, into that ocean scene, everything starts to come back to silence. Like you follow the sea turtle because, hey, why not? It's a dream, right? Just follow the next guide that comes into the dream, and you're going through the ocean, and the sea turtle transfers you over to the manta ray, and you notice that everything is completely silent again. And then you close your eyes. You shut out that main sense that you rely on to interpret so much of your world, when scientifically speaking, our eyes can see something like 0.1% of the visible light spectrum. Like, our eyes are so incredibly limited on what they can actually see. And yet we rely on them to navigate the world to the point that our other senses almost become obsolete until our eyes aren't being used or can't be used. And so again, you don't start to hear that chorus in that story until you close your eyes, holding on to the back of the manta ray, gliding through the ocean, and then that chorus starts to come through. And I just want to note here how beautifully this illustrates how closing our eyes and turning inward can help sharpen our other physical senses: hearing, smell, touch, taste. But it also is how we start to bring online, sharpen, and hone our metaphysical and psychic senses, our intuition, our ability to know who's about to knock on the door before they knock on the door. There's so much available to us that we ignore because we become so comfortable with limiting our world to just what we can see, or even just what we can hear, touch, taste, or smell. There are things that we feel that have nothing to do with our sense of touch. Think of emotions or tingling sensations when nothing is touching you. That's not your sense of touch or smell or sight or hearing. That's bringing those emotions or that tingling forward, right? That's something else. That is a different sense. And those are two examples of things that we regularly accept as being normal. And they are. They are absolutely normal. What's not normal is denying that we are capable of feeling those things because we have senses beyond the five senses talked about in this false reality. We have so many more senses available to us to help us interact with our world and reality and our soul and spirit, the universe, that we just consistently deny, deny, deny. But when you close your eyes and you start to hear that chorus, you start to feel and hear and sense that connection to everything in the universe again, that vibration, that frequency. The song of the universe is love. It is truth. These two are inseparable, and they are what makes up true reality. Something else I love that came through, because I have a background in shamanism or shamanic practitioner, um, is the crystal inside of that oyster. Instead of a pearl, it's this crystal. And I don't think I mentioned it in the story, but that crystal, when I was writing it out and speaking it, it came through very clearly as this, as white quartz, clear quartz, which is found all over the world and in so many shamanic lineages around the world. That white or clear quartz is a powerful conduit to help connect to the spirit world, or what Michael Harner, the father of modern day shamanism, calls non-ordinary reality, or the shamanic state of consciousness. He talks about ordinary reality, which I'm calling the false reality for the purposes of this discussion, and that non-ordinary reality, which would be everything experienced in that story. It would be what's experienced in a shamanic journey. It's what's experienced in your dreams. It's what a lot of people will experience in plant medicine journeys. It's when you lift the veil of this false, distorted reality and you get to experience and see and sense what true reality actually looks, feels, and interacts with you like. And I love how you're in this world, you're in this ocean, you're looking at this crystal, and inside the crystal, you see this entire universe. We're really playing into the quantum realms here, the quantum physics of universes within universes within universes, and that multidimensional aspect of true reality. For whatever reason, every time I encounter this in my own shamanic journeys, meditations, dreams, stories, connection to the divine, and I get to see that glimpse beyond the false reality and see the universes within the universes. I always think about the movie Men in Black, where they are trying to find and save this galaxy. And when they finally find it, it's this small little stone bauble on the collar of a cat. And of course, if you watch all the way at the end, they have these aliens on a world uh, playing with marbles, and they're rolling around other galaxies and universes in these marbles. And just that acknowledgement And this is something that not just Men in Black, but other movies have played with. I think of Doctor Strange and Into the Multiverse, all of those movies, and then just different religious or spiritual traditions, indigenous stories, myths, legends, this concept of universes within universes, multidimensional life is not new. What is new is that science is starting to prove that this is true. Science is starting to catch up to all the mysticism and the magic and there's no way this can be real stuff that we've considered to be bogus or magic or just generally not real. We are learning that, in fact, this is true reality, and what we've been led to believe about our world is so small and limited. Again, I come back to that where our eyes can see something like 0.1% of the light spectrum. And there's part of me, now that I'm saying it, thinks that it's actually even smaller than that. This false reality isn't necessarily completely false, completely untrue. But what it is such a tiny, tiny portion of what true reality is. And it's been twisted and distorted in such a way that we believe that wars are necessary, that suffering is necessary. I mean, I even think about the working out thing of no pain, no gain, or sometimes war is necessary to keep you safe or to bring peace. And I'm not exempting myself from having believed these things. I did used to believe these things. When the deeper I go into myself, into that connection with that beautiful chorus of the universe, into truth and love, the more I am experiencing and beginning to remember, because we are infinite, divine souls having a finite human experience. We're having an amnesiac experience where we don't remember true reality. We simply know this distorted reality as truth when it is, in fact, not. I just want to take a moment here as I close out this episode and discuss a little bit about how all of these things tend to relate. I love the synchronicity. So when I released episode 6, True Reality, that story, the very next day I had a live call in my embodied online community. We meet on Thursdays. And this month of April, the theme in embodied was grounding into the body. So we had been learning and practicing becoming more grounded inside our own human bodies, bringing more of our soul in. And this episode, True Reality, that I released on April 15th, had this beautiful lead in into what came forward in that April 16th live embodied call, this incredibly powerful love activation where, just like in the episode of True Reality, where you experience this distortions rising off of you, burning off in the fire surrounding you, dissolving, the same thing was brought forward into that live call in this powerful love activation that wasn't focused on seeing all of the distortions and intentionally releasing them, but instead bringing love into your body and really beginning to feel that reverberation, that frequency of true reality inside your physical form, and letting it do the job of lifting out, vibrating out, and dissolving out all of those distortions. And I'm really excited for this next month for May's theme in Embodied, which is going to be upcycling your life. And the image that came to me is if you think of like a spiral staircase, this spiral going up and up and up, how we have these cycles in our life. And we often ignore these cycles. I'm in this big personal journey right now of getting to know my woman's cycle, that monthly cycle, and the different phases of it, and how to honor my body's cycles better. And what I've been shown that will be coming forward in our live community and embodied in May is that we have these cycles, and every time we come back around, oftentimes we think we're dealing with the same crap all over again. And why is that? And in fact, when you are able to kind of zoom out and expand your perspective, look at it as though you are looking into the crystal rather than inside the crystal itself, you'll notice that vertically, you might be at that same spot in the cycle, in that spiral, but you're a level higher. You aren't going in a circle, you're going in an upward spiral. And you get to release some of those lower levels every time you go up, and you get to expand your perspective to a higher level every time you cycle up. And if you would like to join Embodied, I really encourage you to join. All our meetings are recorded, so if you can never make a live call, that's okay. They're put into the video call library within 48 hours of the live call. And we have a growing resource library on top of that with some somatic practices and more to help you in your embodiment journey. And at the time of recording this, the coupon code is still available that I'll put in the podcast description called, which is Ground into Body. So ground, the letter N, the number 2, and body, all caps. Ground into Body is available for you to get $10 off your first month's membership fee. If you would like to try it out, you can cancel at any time. But I hope that you have enjoyed this discussion of true reality. I hope it's opened up and illuminated something inside of you. And I hope to see you in Embodied. Thank you for joining me for this episode of At the Intersection of Mystical and Mundane. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me on your preferred podcast platform. And remember that new episodes drop on the 1st and 15th of the month. If you would like to connect with me or work with me, head to my website, www.questionsauthority.com, to find links to my socials, send me an email, or book a session. I look forward to connecting with you and meeting you again at the intersection of mystical and mundane.